Good morning, everyone. It is so wonderful to see you, and what a beautiful day to celebrate together. My name is Deanna Parks. I'm honored to serve on our board, and I am honored to be here to welcome you. And I welcome everyone here in person and everyone online as well. If you haven't done so, please take a moment to silence your cell phone. I guess if you're at home, it doesn't matter, but if you're here, that would be wonderful. We are so pleased to have Reverend Shara Moscinska as a representative of our spiritual ministry team today. We really look forward to your inspiration today. And Brian Wood is here and back, and we're so glad to see you. Thank you for being here, Brian, as our featured musician. Today I'm actually doing the announcements of the announcements. So I invite Reverend Shara up for her announcement about an exciting upcoming class.
Hello and good morning, everyone. I am thrilled to announce a class that's going to be starting in June every Thursday from 11 until 1. And this is with one of my favorite ministers in the Unity movement. Her name is Reverend Pat Venema. It's going to be an online class, and it is called Tracking the Evolution of Consciousness in the Hebrew Bible Through the Spiral Dynamics Lens. Quite a mouthful, right? Yeah. The title is the description of the course, but it's really very, very exciting to me personally because I find it fascinating to look at evolution. This is a big part of our tradition. And Richard Rohr has a saying that we don't see God as God is. We see God as we are. And what Reverend Pat does, inspired by the work of E.J. Niles, is she tracks how God as presented changes throughout the Hebrew Bible as the Israelites change in consciousness. So it's fascinating. And then we can see how we do that too, and how we grow and evolve. So I very much encourage you to register for the class. It's going to be in the e-blast. It's on our website. It's $150 for a 5-week course, $30 a course. Half goes to Reverend Pat, half goes to Bless Unity of Tustin. If finances are difficult for everyone, we can waive all or part of the Unity of Tustin part. So please contact us if you need some assistance. But I will certainly be in the class ready and willing to learn, and I hope to see many of you as well. So any questions, let me know, but blessings, and please sign up. Back to you.
Okay, well, I am going to invite Erin on up. She has announcements about our some upcoming events in the youth and family program.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, it's so nice to be out here with all of you. And as Deanna said, I am with our youth and family life ministry. And we have some fun, exciting things coming up. The first announcement, though, I wanted to share is that our high schooler in our YOU program, Gavin Keys, he was reelected as a regional officer. So if we could give him a round of applause. He was not able to be here today, but we are so proud of him and following that calling to deeper service of unity, of mentorship, of leadership. We will be blessing him with the gift. It's this inspirational book, You Will Leave a Trail of Stars, Words of Inspiration for Blazing Your Own Path. And I wanted to read that title because really that's what all of us are doing, right? We are the trailblazers. We are leading the way for our future. And it is such a blessing, and we are so proud and honored for Gavin. So the other announcement we have is that Southwest Region Summer Camp is coming up. That's June 20th through 24th. It is in Wrightwood, California, and it's the whole camping experience, right? Liv has been to several, and this year is really special because we're coming out of the pandemic and they get to be in person again. It's the camping experience of swimming, of crafts, of being in a cabin, staying up way too late with your friends, right? And all this fun unity, spirit groups and such. So if you have a child who is completing 3rd grade through 5th grade, And all teens, and you're interested in learning more, please come see me or give me an email shout out, and I will give you more information on that. And then we have Liv, who's going to announce our next really exciting event, and that is going to be our car wash-a-thon is coming back for all of you who are familiar with that. So, Liv, I'm going to give it to you.
So our annual car wash-a-thon is going to be on Sunday, May 15th. We're going to need volunteers for stuff like soap and food and people to control water. So please sign up and email Erin if you have any questions. This is going to help raise money for camp and just anything else around the church. We would love for you to just come out and support. And then other ways that you can participate would be pledging a dollar amount for each of our YFM washes, for donating a one-time love offering, and bringing your car to be washed on May 15th. If you have any questions, please go up to Erin or I, and there is a flyer where you can get your information from. Thank you.
Thank you. I am so excited. My kids have done camp. They've never done it in person. They're young enough where we've been doing it online. They've done a great job, but camp on Zoom just lacks something. So I'm super excited to go back in person and to help raise money so that all the kids can get up to camp. One quick announcement. Spirits groups started last week. If you would like to join one, you have one last week to find your group, and there are sign-ups at the back table there. So join a small group, and it is the first Sunday of May. So if it is your birthday, in May, will you please stand up so we can recognize you and celebrate you? Ooh. And we're going to let Brian take that.
All right, let's raise our voices together here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday and happy summer. All right, Brian is now going to lead us in Surely the Presence.
Presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Thank you, Brian. Good morning, Unity of Tustin. Good morning, everyone online on this beautiful day where we get to celebrate both the power of prayer and how that prayer sets us up into action, sets us up into soul-centered, spirit-driven action. So I will begin by lighting the Christ candle. And as I light the Christ candle, this is the representation of the living love that sometimes is hard to get started. But once it burns, it is unstoppable. And this is that flame of trust, that flame of faith that allows us to do our next indicated thing, even in our uncertainty, with the knowing that Spirit is in charge and has the power to use all of our sincere actions for good. And we know this, and we pray this, and we affirm this, and we live this. We put feet on this in the world, supported by community, in the name and after the nature of the indwelling Christ's presence. And so it is. Today's daily word is pray for others. In love and faith, I pray with you. I am honored to pray with others, and I am grateful when others support me in prayer. When praying hearts and minds are joined, the power of prayer is multiplied. My partners in prayer may be in the same room or far away. We may be close friends or strangers. The power of prayer transcends what mere words can express, so we need not even speak the same language. We share the heart's language of love and faith. Although the appearance of sickness, a perception of lack or insufficiency, or interpersonal discord may have prompted us to pray, we set those concerns aside as we say yes to wholeness, abundance, and harmonizing love that are blessings in our lives and in every life. This is inspired by Matthew 18:19. Again, truly I tell you, if two of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. In love and faith, I pray with you. And today, in love and in faith, we hold and we celebrate our prayer chaplains that hold us in prayer week after week through their consciousness, through their dedication, through their love, and through their prayerful service. Prayer chaplains, welcome. In the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah is asked by God, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And Isaiah responds, here I am. Here I am. Send me. Each of you have heard that call. Heard that call, who shall I send? And you have said, here I am. Send me. And to concretize that, the power of that sacred yes in song, I invite Jean-Claude up to lead us in song. And please participate as the words are printed in your bulletin. In this song that uplifts our heart with our sacred yes represented by our prayer chaplains today.
So this is the congregational song, so please join it.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and pain, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make the darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, as you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them. My hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. It is I, Lord. I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, as you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart.
Beautiful. Oh, that was so beautiful. Heeding the call to be a prayer chaplain means you were first willing to participate in 11 hours of training. In addition, you've committed to demonstrate an active commitment to our church and ministry, to our principles and beliefs. You've committed to hold a spiritual space of possibility for others and yourself, knowing and trusting that Spirit is in charge. You've committed to prayer, both with yourselves, in your sacred, still, small, silent room, listening to that still, small, silent voice, and sharing that knowing, sharing that with each other. You've committed to lovingly listen, to having and demonstrating a genuine interest in the well-being of congregants and the other prayer chaplains, and to hold all that is shared in sacred confidence. You have agreed to put this commitment into action, to put feet on this commitment by serving at 2 Sunday services a month, maintaining communication with the prayer chaplain trainer and staff as needed on a regular basis, to attend all meetings and annual training sessions, and to be punctual and actively participate in all discussions. In the awareness of the activity of the Holy Spirit, which has led you to this moment of commitment, I invite you to your heart space. And if your heart says yes, I ask you to respond with the words, I am, to these questions. Are you ready? Please stand. Are you willing to accept this commitment and dedication? Are you willing to remember to open a space for God no matter what? Are you willing to do your best to stay prayed up? Are you willing to support the other members of the prayer chaplain team? I am. Are you willing to practice self-care? I am. Dear beloveds, you have said yes. I will create a space filled with compassion and love for anyone who seeks it. I thank God for each and every one of you, for your time, for your energy, for your dedication, for your prayerfulness, and for your action. I thank you for the many, many visible and invisible ripples of blessings, which are the results of your decision, your choice, your I am, and your decision to say, yes, God, send me. You are an incredible gift to this ministry. And I invite John Claude to invite each individual up to receive a token of our appreciation as a rose as you recommit yourselves as prayer chaplains at Unity of Tustin.
This being the summer season, we have some of our prayer chaplains that are traveling or on vacation. So I'll just read those names out first so that we can recognize them because they're going to be present in our midst as we celebrate this day. The names are Ani Bazensky, Barbara Granfield, Bonnie Goslin, Claire Purcell, Myra Wilkinson, and Pam Wheeler. And I'd like to call at this time Donna Evans, Jack Ragland, please. Jean Gardner. Jim Perry. Matt Stevens. Patty Higgins. Stephanie Aho. Susan Gilmore. Suzanne Valles. And Ron Blackman. And I'll take a flower too, Jean-Claude. Thank you.
Thank you, prayer chaplains, for your sacred yes. And please receive a warm unity blessing from us all. We love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are together. We love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Namaste. Thank you so much. Thank you, John Claude, for your leadership. God bless you all. And now let us seal that prayer chaplain dedication with a beautiful song by Brian Wood.
What's life calling me to face? Oh, inside of every passing day. Oh, I try, but it always seems the same. Oh, the moment It's here right now in all we say and do. Oh, the time that always slips away. So tired of holding on to pain. Oh, you know that there's another way. Oh, embrace the change that's happening inside you every day. So I'm out here standing on this road, a part of everything I know. Oh, I'm falling into the unknown. Oh, the moment's real. It's here right now in all we say and feel. So what fire's here burning through your day, inspired by the sun that guides the way? Oh, you know that the seeds of life and change are here with you. They're here right now in all we say and do.
Oh, it's heartbreakingly beautiful. Ah, let yourself fall into the open heart. Now, I am rooted in this community deep enough to know that this is my favorite time of year at Unity of Tustin. It's when the jacaranda blossoms fall to the ground. Each one of them being one of those blessings. Except maybe to Marco, I don't know. But it's, that breaks my heart open with love. Hearing the music, watching the blossoms fall, seeing each falling blossom as a prayer, as a moment of recognition, of spirit, of love, of goodness, of beauty. That is always available as we attune to it. And the music is the perfect way to bring us to that space. So I invite you now, as we move into meditation, to bring to mind what breaks your heart open with love, that what reminds you of the goodness that undergirds all of creation. And breathe in the perfumed air, the sense of oneness, the goodness, the palpable goodness of our community, undergirded by such deep commitment to prayer and practice of principle. And I invite you to imagine yourself on a path. However it appears to you. Could be a path of dirt or stone, grass or paved, jacaranda blossom laden. Just get a sense of you in the surroundings as it presents itself to you. What's the temperature? What's the landscape? Imagine yourself lifting an arm in the air and seeing if there's a breeze. What's on your feet? See yourself walking along your path until you get to a mysterious and abrupt end. Perhaps a precipice of sorts. A place where there is not a next stable step. A place where the next step is a chasm, a falling, the unknown. And yet, you hear your destiny calling you. You pray and your still small voice says, keep going. But there is no path. And you feel your doubt. And your doubt is calling you to step beyond what you know. And in this meditative space, you say yes. And you step out. You literally have to put your feet into the unknown. And as you do, you are instantly supported. You almost hear the rush of angels' wings building a new path, precisely as you walk on it. And you keep going, and you keep hearing those angels' wings rush to meet you, building the bridge as you walk on it. Eventually, you see and walk through a mystical gate. You take a turn, and in the distance, there it is, your authentic destiny. It's not clear. It's more of a sense, a knowing than a vision. But you know it to be true. You feel your soul quicken with a recognition and gratitude that you have found your path and your way to be of service on a soul level in the invisible realms. And at this moment, you take a look back and you notice that before you stepped out in faith, there was no path from the precipice to your divine destiny. There was nothing. You created something from nothing by stepping out into the unknown and being in between. The only way to get there was to go beyond what you knew, was to go beyond what you could see. The only way to get there was by building the bridge as you walked it, creating, discovering, finding, cooperating with the field of grace. And now you see that others can use this path. And what you really did was evolve a new path, a new network, a new node, a new connection point in the interconnectedness of all that is. In the interconnectedness of ourselves as the organism of humanity, as interbeing, as one love, as one mind, as spirit. Step by faithful step, your moving into the unknown has deeply served. You hold gratitude for yourself. You hold gratitude for spirit. You hold gratitude for life deep in your heart as you gently, faithfully continue to create a new path, moving towards your soul's destiny once again in the silence. We honor all the pathways made and strengthened by each of us in the network of life. And we honor all of those on our prayer list here at Unity of Tustin and all of those in our minds and hearts as we move and put feet on the silence through the beautiful music of Brian Wood.
Come down, get your feet here down on the ground. You know it's time to see for yourself or your voice. Oh, it's only a matter of choice. You know it's time to see for yourself. You've got these old kind of feelings to keep you the way you are. Just lose control, let your heart overflow, and I tell you what to do. Let go and let it through. So come on, so come down, get your feet here down on the ground. You know it's time to see for yourself or your voice. It's only a matter of choice. You know it's time to see for yourself. You've got these names and these numbers to tell you who you are. Just make some noise, let your body feel your voice, and I'll tell you what to do. Kick back and let it through. So come on, come down, get your feet here down on the ground. You know it's time to see for yourself with your voice. It's only a matter of choice. You know it's time to see for yourself. Come down, get your feet wet here on the ground. You know it's time to see so much more with your voice. You know it's only a matter of choice. You know it's time to see for yourself. There's so much more to this moment than this world wants to know. Just lose control, let your body overflow, and I'll tell you what to do. Just relax and let it through, you know. So come on, come down, get your feet here down on the ground. You know it's time to see for yourself with your voice. It's only a matter of choice. You know it's time to see for yourself. Oh, it's time to see for yourself. Oh, it's time to see for yourself.
Wonderful. Come on, come down. It's time to put your feet on the ground. And that is what we are talking about today. We are talking about our fifth unity principle, where we put feet on it. We've had this 4-month journey going into our final week, where we have talked about all of our unity principles. Starting with God is, there is one power, one presence, God the good. I am a manifestation of that presence. I can through thought co-create and manifest that presence. I pray and I align with that spirit, so that when I do, our fifth principle, when I put feet on it, it is in alignment with source. It is in alignment with soul and not ego. It is in alignment with love. And we, through and as our lives, bring that love into the world. That's what we do, right? Amen. This is what unity is, and this is what we come together to do. And we have to be active and put these teachings in an embodied way forward. Charles Fillmore says, so many people pray and pray and pray, and I'm not saying to stop, but he says they don't get action. Our bodies also need to be acted upon. You must do something. Even in the prayer chaplain dedication, there is the power of prayer, but then there is the commitment of actions that the prayer chaplains had to say yes to in order to bring that consciousness into the world. In Jesus Christ Heals, Charles Fillmore says, God is the name of the all-encompassing mind. Christ is the name of the all-loving mind. And Holy Spirit is the all-active manifestation. This is the metaphysical interpretation of the Trinity. The three creative aspects of mind are mind, idea, and expression, action. Charles Fillmore in Jesus Christ Heals also says it can be called mind, idea, manifestation. Thinker, thought, action. Spirit, soul, body. And he says, my body, or I manifested as body, is not filled with error, sin, discord. My body is life, purity, wholeness, sinlessness. I see my flesh. In my flesh, I see God. What I see, what I behold, becomes manifest. It's the precursor, the metaphysical precursor of E equals mc squared. Our body is the outpicturing of the inner energetic wholeness. It is all holy. And we get to experience and cooperate with manifest holiness as the field of grace. Fillmore ends with the trinity of I am consciousness, I appear. So our fifth principle is about how do we make our prayers? How do we make our consciousness? How do we make our truth? How do we make our knowing? How do we make our goodness appear in the world? And this is a lifelong inquiry. The principles remind us that the first four are about being rather than doing, because the consciousness that we come from informs how we show up in the world. I might switch to the less windy mic. How's that? All right. Wow, you brought in the wind. That was a peppy song. You know, we were all calm and clear until that active power. I'll blame it on Brian, but it feels good. Feels good. So the goal is to live consciously and take action guided by our inner being. And we can look at our relationship to action from several different lenses. So it's true that putting principle into action does start as an inside job, right? To bring peace in the world, we need to be peaceful. To bring love into the world, we need to be loving. We can demonstrate this with patience, with our children, with our loved ones. We can see the divinity in other people. We can be responsible for what we create in life and be responsible for what our family, our community, our nation, our world creates together. But what comes first? Does consciousness come first and then action? Or does action come first and then consciousness? You know, and it might even depend on what school of therapy you were taught in. You know, the behavioralists act first and consciousness will follow. Insight therapists get the energy first and the action will follow. Now, we may not know the perfect order of causality, but what we do know is that they build on each other. They build on each other and they need each other. If you make a good choice with the foods you eat, that's going to reduce cravings and help you keep alive an attitude of wholeness and health. But it was that attitude of wholeness and health that motivated you to choose to eat wisely in the first place. So they reinforce each other. There's one and the other. The other lens is, how does this out picture? How does right action look? Because right action is going to look very differently for all of us. Because not only is each of us different, but we have a different soul purpose. We have a different authentic duty to the world. We come from different intergenerational lineages with different traumas to be metabolized, with different cultures to interface with. The important thing is that we are here to metabolize all of our challenges into love. And we will do this in different ways based on how we interpret principle. It's one of the reasons why I love having 3 ministers, because we are each going to interpret differently. And we get away from the thinking there is one way to move forward in spirit. Davenport writes about her friend, and when her friend is annoyed with her husband, she takes 100% responsibility and goes inside and changes her own attitude because she feels it is not appropriate to ask him to change for her to be okay. Someone might want to marry that person. I don't know. I heard. Davenport sees it a little differently. Davenport sees it as an opportunity to set boundaries, to negotiate, to help the person move into their divinity in a different way in the world, and that inner calm and peace and outer environment are in dialogue with each other, that they influence each other, that they need to be in conversation. So we need to use our power of discernment because each of us will use principle to take different actions. If there's any guideline that I know, it's to take the actions that reflect what you want to see more of in the world. Take the actions that act on the still small voice that you hear in the silence. And to take actions based on what life itself and its intelligence is showing you as the next indicated thing to do. There is a coherence, and we can move in all of those directions and be part of that coherence and that unfolding. But whatever action you take, it's important to do it from a place of what you are for and not what you are against. And that's the third lens. The third lens is that energy flows where attention goes. So if you take an action against something, like the war on poverty or the war on crime, you're setting up a resistance. And then the actions that you take are going to be defined based on what you are against. So it's important to get clear and center of what you are for, what you want to see more of in the world, and then move from that place. You know, President Zelensky is good at this. The Ukrainian people are not against Putin's army. They are for safety. They are for freedom. They are for sovereignty. They are for self-determination. They are for protecting other countries from a similar aggression. And our actions and our activism are far more life-giving and far more love-generating when we are clear what we are for. And we don't have to do it on our own. And we don't have to change the entire world. You know, Mother Teresa didn't eradicate poverty. This is what she said. She said, we feel that what we are doing is just a drop in the ocean. But the ocean would be less without that drop. So that's the fourth lens, that our actions, like the pathway in meditation, they connect our humanity as we are in oneness, as we are interconnected, as we are as interbeing. And each drop that each of us participates in, they add up. And when they are done as part of an intentional coherence, working towards a collective goal, they can reach a mystical tipping point. You know, we are in a new era. It's often referred to as the Anthropocene. It's a novel geological era where humans are the dominant species. And most of the challenges are human created. And they're created in a very complicated, interdependent way. So we need to connect with our complicated, interconnected bigness in order to create nodes and networks of all the drops of actions each of us does that can then emerge as deep and revolutionary social change. Sometimes we require a little bit larger action than the individual personal scale to make a difference on these very large, wicked problems. So Otto Scharmer is a MIT professor and founder of Theory U. And like Richard Rohr and Cynthia Bourgeault and many, many other thinkers, he talks about this movement to the collective. He says, in almost all cases, we see the power of mindfulness applied to the cultivation of the individual. The assumption being that once there is a critical mass of individual practitioners, they will eventually shift and transform the whole system. And I think this is possible, especially on smaller scales. But Scharmer says, that view reflects a naivete in the current mindfulness movement. It tends to be ignorant about the collective structural dynamics of profound social change. From the perspective of social fields, and from the perspective of social mirrors, we have in our teachings that life is a mirror, showing us what we need to work out in our individual consciousness. This is also true in a collective. We have social mirrors, and what comes to us often as culture is what needs to be cleaned up in the social group collective consciousness. So from the perspective of social fields, the essential question is, how can we apply the power of mindfulness not only to the cultivation of the individual, but also to the transformation of the collective, the evolutionary shift of social fields? And here in our book, The Five Principles, that we are reading as part of our spirit group, Davenport references the fall of communism in 1989. And while this is partly as a result of metaphysical consciousness, the mind idea part, it was also enormously influenced by expression, by action. You know, I know from the ground that huge change in social field was the result of decades of work from dissidents that were for education, for their own language and history being taught, for freedom of thought, freedom of press, freedom of speech. It was a result of things happening that we could not predict or plan, but that changed the empowerment and healed the part of us that could tolerate the oppression. For example, in Poland, John Paul II was made Pope. And he went to Poland and had an illegal mass where over 1 million people illegally attended. And that gave a reference point. It gave a reference point of what is possible. And that created solidarity, which was a movement in order to speak out against autocracy and use methods of civil resistance to advance the causes of workers' rights and create social change. This was replicated through many countries under Soviet control until there was a fairly peaceful dismantling of the Soviet Empire that could have never been predicted or planned, even from the people who were actively taking part. So this kind of goes a little bit with last week's talk. We just have to do our part and trust that underground, above ground, these nodes are all connecting and can create, and are creating huge collective shifts. But I think for each of us, in the small spaces, the question is, how do we know? How do we know that the actions that we are taking are coming from a place of love and not from a place of ego? How do we have the faith to take action and do it anyway? And is our action going to be enough? These are the questions. And we ask and we pray and we go into the silence and we do our best, and we can know in faith when we take action with sincerity, even if we get it wrong, Spirit knows how to bring good out of it. But I don't know about you, but for me, when I have said yes to something I'm uncertain about, but yet I have an inner knowing it's what needs to be done, it's like those angels' wings come rushing towards us to build the bridge exactly as we walk it, right? Have you had experiences like that? There's this beautiful Rilke saying, and I'm going to read it and see if this resonates with you. Rilke says, "Until one is committed, there is always hesitancy, the chance to draw back, which leads to ineffectiveness. Concerning all creative actions, there is one elementary truth. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too." Isn't that true? The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help that would have never otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising favorable unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no one could have dreamed would come his or her way. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic to it. Right? Boldness, action, moving forward, even in doubt. It has genius, power, and magic to it. And by saying our sacred yes, however we discern it, however life is showing us to do it, this is how we become magicians. This is how we become alchemists. This is how we bring the new and the novel into the world. This is how we become Christ in evolution. Spirit moves in us, we outpicture it, and we change the field of law to the field of grace. And we become co-creators as our divine birthright with Spirit. Isn't this true? Try to think of places this happened in your own life. And it is a trust fall. This is why community is so important, because we do not know. We do not know, but we have to do it anyway. But there we discover the field of grace. I love that Brian is our musician today. What you may not know is all those songs are original, and they are attuned to his sense of what the service was going to be today. And his next song even has a little improv in it. And this is what we are called to do. How do we improv our life? How do we dance in the unknown? How do we tolerate that excruciating vulnerability where it's so much clearer that we're likely to be successful if we just do what we know how to do. But it's so much more deeply spiritual when we do beyond what we know how to do. When we do what the emerging future is calling us to do and be, so we can bring forward capacities that are larger than the challenges we face today. That's that process. That's that process of evolution. So to access this field of grace, to live in it more and more, we actually have to develop the capacity to unknow, to unlearn, to undo, to uncontrol, to move from all-knowing to unknowing, to welcome and embrace doubt, to wonder, to have curiosity, to ask, what if I don't know? What if I have it all wrong, even as you are stepping forward? To be in doubt and sincerely take the next step anyway. And this requires that we let go of our egoic need to look successful and to have faith that we can listen to and be led by not what we already know, but what wants to be known. Spirit's greatest work often happens when we are least certain. It's a paradox. It's a paradox. So think of some times where you said yes and grace came rushing in to meet you in ways you could have never predicted or planned. You know, for me, this happened in my last position in behavioral health. It is undoubtedly how I came to Unity of Tustin. It's how we developed a relationship here with our Meetup advertising partner. It's how John Selby came to be our friend and gave a talk here last month. It's how we became a client of Gary Simmons to consciously evolve on an organizational level. These are things that hadn't been thought of. They emerged from being in that unknown. You know, the board asked me once, what is my vision for Unity of Tustin? And I said, my vision is no vision. I don't know if it was very impressive, actually. But I want it to be greater than what I can see. I want it to be what God and Spirit wants for us in our world. And we find so much more spiritual support when we let God lead and sense and respond our way into an unknown future that wants to evolve, that wants to emerge, that wants to be born as and through us. And this is an enormous shift in consciousness, enormous, because we don't throw away strategic planning. There's that level, and we do that too. But in this consciousness, conventional strategic planning is not the best way to take action in a field of grace. So Susan Beaumont, who wrote that wonderful book, How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going, talks about it this way. She says traditional strategic planning makes linear assumptions about how the future will unfold. We are standing here and we want to get there. These incremental steps will take us there. So very sensible, right? But in liminal, evolutionary, deeply spiritual spaces, learning and logic are not linear. We build the bridge as we walk on it. This was your meditation. Carefully crafted plans may inhibit the journey by locking us into decision making rather than letting us discern our way to the other side. And that's one of our Christ powers, that power of discernment. Planning doesn't serve us well in liminality. But we don't have to wander aimlessly. We can gain clarity about who we are now, our passions, our giftedness, and our yearnings. We can listen, sense, respond, iterate, learn, boldly and humbly, discovering our way forward into the mind of God through conscious engagement with life. So that's what I'm inviting you to consider. How can you consciously engage in life by letting go? By letting go and letting God. And doing that through action. Through the actions you take. Developing your capacity, your spiritual muscle to be in between. To be uncertain. To be faithful enough to not know and move forward knowing that field of grace will provide the next stepping stone, will show you how to course correct, and will help you move to a much larger expression of your own life and your own soul. Frederick Buechner says, "The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's hunger meet." The place God is calling you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. We don't really know how to get there through strategic planning, but we do know how to get there by listening and taking that step onto the path that does not yet exist, but by your stepping forward will exist and will create more networks of community, support, and love that serve us all as one community, as one heart, as one love, as one humanity. This is what God is calling to each of us. This is what God is calling for Unity of Tustin. And this is the place that we support each other to live into as the beloved community, having each other's back with compassion and kindness as we stumble. James 1:22 says, "Do not merely listen to the world and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." So that's your homework. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. And what is the word telling you to do? We say about our 5 unity principles, knowing these truths are not enough. We must live them. We must put feet on them. And then we have to put those feet into the unknown and outpicture from the field of grace that creates and connects all of creation in living sacred love. Okay, I was going to give a summary, but you can look at the recording. Let's just end with this. Our work is also to support each other. To support each other to take action into the unknown. To love each other as we stumble and course correct. And to bring forward new evolutions of spirit into our community, into our lives, and into the world. Let's put feet on our unity teachings. And let's put feet on our unity teachings together. God bless.
Is there anyone here for the first time who would be willing to raise your hand? If you didn't receive a welcome packet on your way in, the ushers will, if you keep your hand up, the ushers will find you. And we welcome you. Unity of Tustin is an inclusive community. We welcome all people. If you are strong and powerful and want to bring your work to us, if you have your heart broken open, you're welcome. And if you are different than everyone else, we welcome you. So it's now the time for our love offering. So this is the time when we put action into our church and we give from what our resources are. And we all know that as we give, that is exactly how we receive. So let's say the love offering blessing together. You can hold your offering in your hand and say, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And as our ushers come forward, Brian has another song for us.
Yeah, Shara was saying, I wrote these songs for you today, but this last one is sort of a complete mystery. Like, I kind of know the instrument thing I'm maybe using, but which is scary for me. But I think in all aspects of my life, like sometimes it feels like it's a mess, but in this one area where I connect to music and like spirit in music, I feel like that's where I can really be in the unknown and like successfully. So I'm going to try to give you all an example and take you there with me here. All right, we'll see what this is. Stand inside this garden, surrounded by your face. The moment takes me over, and I hear the sounds, I hear the sounds of grace. I know there's more to this thing than sometimes ever see. I wander in this garden of feeling so free, feeling so free.
Oh, what a blessing. Wow. What a gift. Thank you. So, we bless these tithes, these love offerings. Thank you, Divine Spirit, for the actions of people, for the feet on the ground. They represent the devotion of the community. And some final announcements as we close. After the service, please join us at hospitality. I see a beautiful feast being laid before us. And the bookstore is open, and prayer chaplains will be at the garden ready to pray with you. And just a note about prayer: when we pray with you, we pray with us too. It's not like we pray better, it's like we need it too. So prayer is prayer, so share with us. And speaking of action, a little turning back to Shara, who has another action for us.
Okay, everyone.
Oh, you have your own mic.
Oh, this is two things. One, we're also having a salon, so feel free to come to the salon at 12:45. But we have an opportunity for you to put today's message into direct and immediate action. And we know that many hands make light work. And we know that garden setup and breakdown requires many hands. Ergo, I invite each and every one of you to help with the takedown of our garden setup immediately following service. So we have Marco and John that will help direct us all how to learn the doing capacity of taking down the pop-ups and putting them where they belong. And Russ will be guiding you to where things go in the sanctuary and where the chairs go and things like that. So are you game? Let's do this. Put feet on it. God bless you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Oh, and we're going to do the prayer for protection. Okay, so let us, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Go forward and do with love in the unknown, and God bless.